Celtics fans? What is going on? I am your host of Celtics Today by Chat Sports, Allie Barefoot. Producer Smitty is right here to my right, and we put our brains together and thought about what we wanted to talk about on today's show, and ultimately, we wanted to break down 4 takeaways that we have of the Boston Celtics through 21 games, and believe me, you're going to want to stick around for our last takeaway, because we threw some heat on there and made it a little bit spicy. But first, I want you guys to go ahead and comment your favorite C's moment so far this season, as we are now hitting that quarter season mark for the 2023-24 NBA season. There's been a lot of great dunks, been a lot of great steals. So go ahead and put your favorite moment from the C's game so far this year. Well, I introduced a pretty hot take here from Stephen A. Smith. Never in my life did I think he would be on the Celtics side. Never in my life did I think I would agree with Stephen A. Smith. But he did say recently on a podcast, said, I got the Celtics as my favorite. There is no team in the NBA that should be able to definitively look at the Boston Celtics and say, we're better. Stephen A., I hope you're right. I feel it in my bones that this is going to be the Celtics banner 18 year. But of course, you're going to have some good and you're going to have some bad. Well, let's go ahead and start off with some good things that Smitty and I have noticed, and that is bald-headed Derrick White. It's time to give this man his flowers. Yes, I did dress up his bald head a little bit and put a nice crown on it because that is how I view him at this point in the season. I want to bring up this tweet. I actually retweeted it. It's from Dan Greenberg. Look at that date, October 8th. Before the season even started, Dan said, bald Derrick White is going to change some lives this season. And I completely agree. He's a different player than he was from last year, and you can visibly see it on paper. If you take a look at his stats last year, he's obviously playing more minutes. Joe Mazzulla is obviously trusting him a lot more to be on the court for longer. His points per game, almost 5 points more than this time last year. And this is through the first 18 games. You have to remember he missed a few games this season due to the birth of his son. He's rebounding more. His assists are through the roof, along with Jrue Holiday, making it one of the best backcourts the Celtics have ever seen. And his field goal percentage, nearly 10% higher this time than it was last year. Look, guys, we knew Derrick White's court vision was off the charts. I mean, this man was seeing 20/20. But now he's actually putting it on the box score. And I cannot say this enough how much I have seen a difference maker Derrick White makes when he's on the floor and when he's not. Because when you look at his stats against the Knicks the other night, and this was with KP finally back in action after that injury, 30 points in TD Garden, 3 assists, but look at that 3-point made. 6 3-pointers, including a fantastic run in the second half to help the Celtics increase their lead by 20. Derrick White was popping off to the point where there were MVP chants going nuts in TD Garden, but it was for Derrick White. Now, don't get too crazy here. I don't think Derrick White's actually probably going to be in the final top 5 MVP contenders this year, but he's making a difference for the Celtics. You can see it statistically, and you can also see it chemically. When his chemistry is out there with Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and the rest of the starting 5, I mean, it's a different ballgame. He's even leading the Boston Celtics in plus-minus, plus 10.2, and second in the NBA. Smitty found that stat, and I was not surprised by it at all. Is he MVP? Probably not, but he said it's always nice to hear those chants, but he's definitely a difference maker. Show Derrick White some love. Rub his bald head for good luck. Do what you have to do, but Derrick White deserves his flowers. So that's what Celtics Today fans are going to do. Go ahead and spam number 9 down in the comments. Let D. White know, hey, we're behind you, we're on your side, and keep doing your thing. While you guys are there, I want you guys to go on ahead and check out Prize Picks. It's my favorite daily fantasy sports app that we play here at Chat Sports, and I play it all the time. It adds a little extra thrill to my game days. If you guys want to play, all you have to do is pick between 2 to 6 players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. What's super cool about Prize Picks is that they take advantage of crossover seasons like the NFL and the NBA. They actually have a combo pick. Right now, it's a special on Prize Picks. Jokic and Tyreek Hill having more than 17.5 receptions and assists. You know I had to take the more on that. I have Tommy DeVito having less than 176 passing yards. You know, it's Monday Night Football. And then Jared Allen having more than 12.5 points. They're contenders in the East this year, so why not see what Allen can do? These are my picks. I want to see yours. All you have to do is go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use promo code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100, and you can watch yourself win some real money in real time. Next up, we're going to talk about the Celtics bench. This isn't neither good nor bad, but there's definitely some things the bench can improve on. And there's a reason why Sam Hauser is in that picture right there, and I'll get to that in just a few minutes. But overall, the Celtics, since the beginning of the season, have been low in scoring in terms of in the NBA. They're ranked 29th out of 30 teams in points per game right now, which is tough because you don't want to rely on your starters. Thankfully, the Celtics technically have 6 of them, but still, you don't want them to be lagging, resting, any of that when the Celtics can actually provide help. So when you actually look at the rest of their stats, they're not bad. They're really not. They're actually improving in a lot of different areas. I mean, they're ranked 11th in the league right now, 46.1 field goal percentage. That's fine. They're shooting amazing threes right now, 38%, and I think that's big credits to Sam Hauser knocking them down. They're ranked 14th, 15.5 rebounds per game. You see that from Delano. You see that from Sam Hauser. You can definitely have more Celtics bench doing that, but overall, not bad. But ranked 29th at 15 points per game. It can definitely get higher there. 15.5, excuse me. 25, excuse me. Sam Hauser has been the only bench offense that the Celtics can run with at all, and it's been evident. You just paid Payton Pritchard because of his preseason, and then he comes in the regular season, and he's not doing anything special. Definitely not like what we were seeing in preseason, and not like what Sam Hauser's doing. Well, look at his stats. 9.6 points per game. Doesn't pop off like crazy, but he's only playing about 22 minutes per game. Joe Mazzulla is definitely using him a lot more in different areas, but 45% from the field, 43 from the three-point line, which is great, and then he's taking about 6 3-point shots a game. He's your catch-and-shoot type of guy, and I really have enjoyed Sam Hauser developing throughout this season, but it's not enough. Brad Stevens needs to make some moves towards the trade deadline, even if you have to, but you gotta add maybe another name to your bench or at least some more role players that can complement Sam Hauser. Because let me tell you, when that first TV timeout rolls around, I get nervous because I don't know who's coming off the bench and what they're gonna do. But overall, name a first choice you would like Brad Stevens to pick up for the Celtics depth. It can be any position, whether the Celtics need size, whether Sam Hauser needs a shooting mate, or whether you just want to see Payton Pritchard actually play up to what he was paid for. Drop it down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys in terms of who you think the Celtics should add. And speaking of the Celtics adding players, I want to talk about Joe Mazzulla because he's done fantastic with the new additions on this roster. And like I said with Derrick White, I think it's time to give Joe Mazzulla his flowers. Whether you feel great about him or not, he's been a good coach so far this season. I mean, I can't complain. 16-5, you're the top of the Eastern Conference. I mean, no, there's no hardware on his hand yet, but it could come soon. When you look at what Joe Mazzulla's had to endure this season compared to last season, this is his first full offseason as a head coach. I think a lot of people forget what happened with Ime Udoka last season and, his big scandal that threw Mazzulla into the fire. He had entirely new rotation just before the 2023-24 season began. What was that, Smitty? Drew Holiday must have gotten traded October 1st, September 30th? I mean, it was weeks before the season started. And then he consistently earns vocal praise from his current players and the alumni he invites back to practice. When you see a name like Mike Gorman giving praise to somebody like Joe Mazzulla, you listen to it. Mike Gorman did say this. He said, I think now he's comfortable with who he is and where he's going and understands that he's going to win some, he's going to lose some, but he's going to be in them. I have seen numerous reports saying Mazzulla doesn't sit in his office during practice. Hell no. He's on the court with these players, figuring out what's working, what's not working. Even last season, he didn't like being called coach. Gorman says he's really adapted to that lifestyle now, and he could possibly be there for a very long time in Mike's eyes. Overall, Mazzulla has implemented a lot of offensive tactics to really help this nice roster flow. He's setting up screens for people like KP and JB and JT. And let me tell you, I don't know if this is Mazzulla or KP is having the best season of his career, but I've never seen KP play like this, and I want to give some credit to Joe Mazzulla for really utilizing Kristaps Porzingis in the best light he possibly can. But this is just my take. I want to hear yours. How do you think Joe Mazzulla has coached so far this year? I mean, 16-5 is not terrible. He's made some questionable timeout calls in some of these games and some questionable roster choices, but overall, rate it 1 through 10 down below. All right, it's time to get a little hot in here. Here is our spicy take, and all you see is Jaylen Brown right there. But let me tell you what I think about JB. Now, see, JB just recently said in an article he's playing the best basketball in his life. I don't necessarily agree with that. Respectfully, Jaylen Brown, because on paper, you're not playing the best basketball of your life. That's a fact. You can see it right there in front of you. And I'll tell you, I haven't gotten the same feeling watching Jaylen Brown this year as I have somebody like Derrick White, who's actually making a change the minute he steps on the floor. And when you look at some of the advanced stats from Jaylen Brown last year he's not even touching close to these stats this year. His catch and shoot on three-pointers, about 1.7 made through 20 games last year. This year, about 1.5 three-pointers made on catch and shoot. Not crazy. His shots within 10 feet, 46.3 of his attempts. He's been more frequently shooting last year in the first 20 games than he is this year. He's frequently shooting about 42% from inside the 10-feet line. And then his effective field goal percentage when he is wide open, not a soul around him. Last season, nearly 70%. This season, 45 effective field goal percent. I mean, that right there tells you this is not JB's best basketball. However, I understand you're playing a different role this season. You got Drew Holiday now. You got Kristaps Porzingis, who's another 20-point shooter every single night. So I understand there's a little bit of difference going on in the Celtics this year, so I'm not going to put all the blame on JB's shoulder, but I do not agree with Jaylen Brown playing his best basketball this season. With that being said, if you're 16-5 on top of the East and JB's not even hit his ceiling yet, then I'm okay with that. But more consistency. A little less than 9 points per game here, 27 points per game there, popping off against the Hornets and not showing up against the Bucks. I want even play from Jaylen Brown. That's it. That's all I'm asking for. Go on ahead and comment your favorite takeaway through 21 Celtics games so far this season, baby. We got a lot of games to play. This is just what we have seen off rip. But overall, I want to hear what you guys have taken away from the Celtics so far this season. While you guys are at it, hit that sub button for me. It goes a long way here at Chat Sports. We want to make sure you guys are with us on the way to Banner 18.